hee haw.
Oh, okay.
What
Oh,
year was
please.
that? What year was that show? That was early '80s, right? Hee haw, hee haw. I never watched it. I never saw.
I didn't watch it
I,
that much. I think Roy Clark.
I never saw the appeal in that. But I suppose if I was a Roy Clark fan and Dolly Parton, I'd be a total hee haw fan. You could see me doing hee haw.
Okay. Talking about.
Somebody had posted a photo on I love these LA groups, these lost in LA photos of stuff you can't see anymore, restaurants you can't see. And somebody posted something of this. Remember Zachary All?
Oh,
It was a store that had like suits, but it was a department store. I think they had records and cassettes and all of that. Do you remember that store?
yeah. I barely remember him.
And do
Yeah.
you remember, you probably remember because unless you stayed up late at night watching television and watching kung fu movies, you wouldn't have known because those ads are on like KTTV before some of the Shaw Brothers movies or during them, like at 2 a.m. Do you remember that?
I think I barely remember that. Yes.
Okay, let's get to marketing your film. You have a film, right? No. Anyway, so everybody knows that you make a movie and you put everything you've got into it. And you and I'm the belief that, you're making your first most people that are coming across this or talking or in the art of making films, they're in their first and second film stage. Some of them, if they enjoy the sadism and torture, uh you know I don't mean to say that's occurring to them. They stay in and they make more movies, but those are a lost breed. Most people sort of get out after one or two when they figure out, okay, hey dad, I know that $50,000 you gave me for the movie, sorry, I got 2,000 back or 1,000. And then they quit because they don't realize what's going into it. um and most of the time you're making a movie and you don't even know what's going to happen. You're just trying to get through day two. Like I know, like on Samurai Cop 2, even though I was a veteran producer filmmaker by that time, I was still thinking like on day four, like, how am I going to get out of this? This is insane. And what was incredibly painful is that I was experiencing the pain firsthand because I'd see my credit cards being run up. I knew that that movie was costing about 12 to $15,000 per day, which was insane, and a lot of it was just wastage of petty anti stuff behind the scenes. So most of the time you never even think about like what happens when you to get your film out, and most people are on the mindset because look, movies you can't see anymore. You can't touch them. There's no more film. That's all digital artifacts, molecules that go into the air, and you can't see. It's an illusion. So people like this illusion of making a movie for a big screen. Like they're saying, "Oh yeah, I wanted to be a big screen. Let's shoot it this way. Let's get the best lenses. Let's get the best red camera, and so forth, and then let's shoot it." So yeah, so you're just trying to get through you forget about you know you're like, "Oh, okay, well, I mean, no one's saying that they're gonna make a crappy movie, right? No one sets out to go into that. And even if at some point it crosses your mind, you need to, you're in denial because you've got to get through it. You know what I mean? And I never see a gray area. Everybody thinks like, okay, it's this gonna be this great movie and it's gonna play Sundance and Cannes, win these awards, and then boom, we're gonna get this $3 million deal from, well, there's no more Miramax, but this $3 million deal from Blumhouse or whatever. And that doesn't work, and they don't realize that the lottery, even if you win $100 back, that's more than betting on the movie business when you quantify it by dollar to dollar. I usually like to approach things from a societal element, like as a sociologist. So, and it just amazes me the psyche and personalities that filmmakers have, how this is very skewed reality. But I get it because filmmaking is a very isolated form now, and you don't, well, I mean, at least to me, you don't talk to a lot of people. You don't socialize in circles. If you have any downtime, it's on your work. It's getting the next one made. It's getting on this. So anyway, so there's this mentality that it's that you're going to get this deal, whatever, whatever, whatever. So cut to the chase, you don't get that deal, and maybe you get a distributor, maybe you don't. Maybe it's a good distributor, maybe it's not a good distributor. Maybe you're going to self-distribute on your own, which a lot of people don't like to do because they want to go on and make their next film. I get it. The issue is today because the market keeps rapidly changing every month and everything's unstable, completely unstable. I mean, I would say that the ground floor for distribution is a wasteland. It's a wasteland worse than a war. You literally you literally have filmmakers picking up pieces of bombs and like trying to make a movie. It's nuts. But and I heard from a couple filmmakers before they say, "Oh well, we want to distribute." Because I'd be like, "Why do you want a distributor when there's only like 4 places you can get to now? You don't need a distributor." And then if they say, okay, well, and usually their answer will be, well, our investors want a distributor because looks like we're with a home. And I says, well, that doesn't mean anything. So that doesn't mean anything at all. Now, if you want a distributor because you see a long-term game plan for yourself and you're willing to play the game and work with the distributor so that you can get your film out against the odds, not hold close to your values, a lot of people are tied to, oh, this is the greatest poster ever. And the distributor will tell you this is never going to sell in Arkansas. This is never going to sell in Mississippi. Listen to me. And filmmakers are, no, 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 I want, and that time's gone to do that. Like, if you want to do it on your own, great. Don't do it on other people's money. And I know that people think like distribution is a winning game, like, oh, it's making money no matter what they do. And that's not true. The reason we stopped distributing was that because we were paying advances for movies and we were losing money on these advances. And I was saying that that never happened, and it's become 100% speculation business. Speculation meaning you don't know how it is till it comes out, and you hope that by the time it comes out that you're hitting the right algorithms. It's all about that. So in other words, if it works today, it could flop next year. If it flops today, maybe it works next year. You don't know. So it's 100% speculate. At least before we could get information from cable companies and say, hey, look, if we put this movie out, would you buy it? And Showtime would say, yes, we'll buy it, or HBO would say, yes, we'll buy it. So there was less of a speculation, or Blockbuster would say, yes, we'll buy it if you pick up this movie. We don't have any of that. Amazon will take it, great, big deal. Tubi will take it, big deal. Like that doesn't mean anything. Um, so, so the question is, I guess this talk today, it's not really a talk. It's more, um, this is at the point when you're getting into self-distribution. So you have your own aggregator and you're taking control of sort of the future of your movie, and these are the things that you need to do. So to give your movie a fighting chance. And most people, believe it or not, just sort of abandon their movies. They give it to an aggregator and they think the aggregator is going to do their work. Well, hello, wake up. The aggregator's got 6,000 movies. What makes you think they're gonna focus on yours specifically? You know what I mean? They're gonna take everything of your metadata, your hash words, your search words, and you better hope you got those right. But hashtags and search words change from month to month. You don't know. So you better hope that when your aggregator submits your title, that you've got the right taglines, you've got everything all set up, you've got your digital footprint going on. So when your aggregator like Indie Rights or Film Hub submits it to Tubi and some of these other platforms, that they'll see that this is digital footprint. So there's a lot of it takes time, and a lot of people don't even think about this. Think, okay, we'll make the movie, and then it'll be on a what do you call it, cruise control, but it never does. In fact, making the movie is the easiest part, honestly. At least now, getting it out is the difficulty. But the only problem is that once your movie's done, I think almost everyone can attest to that. Your mind is just blown. You're burned. You're at your wit's end. You want to die. You're sad. You're depressed. You might have burnt a lot of relationships during the process. And believe it or not, a lot of people can't multitask. Today you have to multitask to be a successful filmmaker. You have to know sound. You've got to know, obviously writing, but you got to know editing. You have to know distribution. And a lot of people just aren't set up for that. But there is no traditional system anymore where you can say, "Hey, here, Mr. Distributor, I'm putting my life in your hands and do what you can, and believe me, I'm in this for the long run, and it's not just one film. I really want to make films, but most people sort of, I don't know, they sort of just give up and wander away, and they lose interest. I'm amazed that more than 50% lose interest the moment it gets like an aggregator or a distributor, that they just sort of don't do anything. Or they think by doing one post on their Facebook to 200 friends or 500 friends means that they're promoting the film. Well, I mean, isn't that sort of like kicking the tire like the same time 50 times? Isn't that like eating at McDonald's like every day of your life?
Right.
You got to realize there's far more to promotion, um, than that. So, and then on top of that is like you realize at the end at some point that you're all alone in this game because nobody cares about the film more than you will. Now, there's obviously people will care about the film, but we know these days that it's all about ADHD. And there's this new breed of actor now that I've noticed, and they don't care. Like they care the moment they're on set for that photo, and they're the next day about how their hair looks, and they care about how their lipstick, and they care about this other photo, and they care about this, and they run their Instagram, their TikTok, and then like the movie comes out like 6 months later, and like the actors are nowhere to be seen because they're doing TikTok and Insta on the other for whatever else movie that they're making at the time. And it's absurd. This class of actor today is absolutely absurd. They don't, first of all, they don't come classically trained. They're coming to LA for the wrong reasons. Now, don't forget, LA is basically the heart of dregs. It's people, what I call it. LA is like the dead letter office, if you know what I mean. Dead letter office is where the letters go because they can't get delivered, and you stamp return to sender, return to sender, return to sender, and they all get sent back. So LA is like all the return to senders, like where all the rejects go to LA, and they end up in the film business, and they somehow are able to collectively work with each other, but it's absolutely absurd. Now, what I was saying about the actors is the actors are not classically trained. Try to ask any actor about like Ibsen, or about Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, or ask him about August Strindberg. Okay, let's not be too hard. Ask him about Annie. Asking about Butterfly. Actors don't come classically trained anymore. And it used to be where you'd have actors at New York, right? What was the acting school? Was it not Juilliard? But, okay, just take any college in New York where actors were studying at. Not only did actors study uh, good writing, great works of writing, and practice day-to-day acting, there was the environment that encouraged them because they could go see movies. There are great movies going out at the time being made. They were surrounded by a lot of ways to be inspired by art and just say, "Hey, I like this writer. I like this film. Let's go in that direction." Doesn't happen anymore. You try to tell me how many actors you see at the New Beverly Cinema. Honestly, let's be serious. Like actual actors that are interested in making movies and just going out of their way to go see a French movie. Okay, none. So, and that's why the Screen Actors Guild is having major problems because they basically they have a group of like idiots. I talk in generalization. I don't talk like obviously every actor is not an idiot, but I'm saying SAG has a mountain of of problems that they got to sort through, namely that they have a dumb actor base now that doesn't know what they do. They follow the lead, they'll follow them over the cliff, they'll drive their cars over the edge for sake, and it's absolutely absurd. And they're not getting work, they're not getting paid out this, and they're doing all this. So it's ridiculous. So, but what I was saying was as a result, because actors are like this, actors don't promote your film. Like they don't like first of all, they don't even know how to promote. They just know how to take a photo on selfie, and they just know how to post something on TikTok. That's all they know. They don't really understand the mechanics of doing a film. And then the problem is anything has to be done in relation to them. So if you say, "Hey, we're doing like an expose on the movie or like a profile on the movie," then you have to talk it in their terms. So you have to say, "Hey, so and so wants to do an article on the making of this movie, and they want to talk about you because you bring so much to this role and this and that." If you don't talk about that, the actor's going to say, "Go away. I don't want to do it." So it's very absurd that how much you can't get them to lift the finger. Now, obviously, the crew who's got your back, they're your bones, you know, they're the guys that save you. You know, you can't promote a movie having your DP or your grip market a movie. It doesn't work like that. It's who do they see on screen? They see a face. And if your actors don't do it, then you got to figure out how are you going to promote your movie. Um, that's not to say that, actors would have helped anyway, because chances are 9 times out of 10 you have an actor who's not gonna who isn't known, right? So, you know what I mean? They used to say, "Oh, she's got 10,000 followers." Well, big deal. Is she Korean and can she do K-pop? So anyway, so I just want to go over a few things. Okay, so this assumes this skips over all the treachery and torment that you get through in making the movie in the process of post, and assuming you did festivals, which will be another show that I'll talk to. This is straight to, okay, you're now in Amazon and Tubi and maybe future Fawsome, and you're hitting Roku channel. This is like you're at that point, and or you're going to be at that point. What do you do to promote your film? This is not about everything leading up to that point, because that's a whole mishmash of stuff that I'll talk to when the time is right, and I have 10 hours to rant about, people who what does Tommy Wiseau say in the room? Everybody disappointed me. What does he say?
Can't remember.
What does he say in the room? He says, everybody disappoint me.
Can't remember.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody fail me. This Tommy. Hello, doggy. Okay, well, anyway, so obviously you have a variety of places to advertise in, but let's narrow it down to just a handful. I think the handful that mean anything if you're a very small movie with a small budget to promote. And by small budget, I mean anywhere from like $2,000 to $5,000. Okay, let's say that. If you have more, then there's different options and so forth. So, but basically, you've got Google and Google Ads, which in the form is you could advertise your movie on YouTube. So in other words, your trailer goes before other channels' contents. So let's say you had a movie about Trump. There's a way you could tie it in where your trailer could go before Trump's videos, or if you had a movie about horses, you could tie it into like so there's a way to there's a way to do that. But strictly Google is that if you've got a trailer, and you're selling it, I mean, you could basically virtually advertise anything that's video on Google. Like you could, like, if you wanted to, you could advertise a 1 hour video that could go before Trump's videos, but that's ridiculous because people would click off. It'd be a waste of your time and money. We feel trailers work well because they grab people, and even if they click off, you're getting a great impression. But what's crucial is that the trailer you make grabs people in the first 5 seconds, because Google's system when you advertise is that the end user. So let's say my ad for my trailer's on your movie, okay, or someone else's movie. Let's say I put my trailer before McDonald's tutorial on how to make burgers. They could click off my trailer within 5 seconds. So typically what I do is I try to go bam um with the opening of a trailer. Now this is ridiculous. Some people actually put their logos before the trailer, like the whole thing. Like, so the trailer doesn't start until 20 seconds. That's absolutely waste of every single penny that you'd be spending on for Google. We do trailers, but we put them in the first 2 or 3 seconds. We make our logos like 1 second, and if there's like three logos, they're 1 second, 1 second, half seconds each. So by that time you're into 5 seconds, and you're seeing the first flash of the film. The first two shots of the trailer are the most crucial ever you can get. If you don't have two amazing shots in the first part of your trailer, you won't get your audience to watch more beyond it. And then they're just going to click it off, and then they're going to watch making the McDonald's burgers on the tutorial. So you want to get them beyond it, because then your ad is working. But even if it isn't working, you're still getting impressions just by virtue of the fact that you are exposing people to 5 seconds of your trailer. So therefore, I recommend Google doing that. Now, Google also does banner ads. I haven't had much experience of that. There's a lot more control needed for that on how it gets disseminated, and it'll easily eat up your money. Uh, Before I go back to Google though, so there's also X. X works very well because it's for people with ADHD. That's why with X you could post 30 times a day and nobody would think you're a maniac. But if you post 30 times a day on Facebook, they think you should be locked up. You know, and then Facebook has its own, and on that subject, Facebook also has their own ad program, which I've been very successful with also. But more recently, since more people have been doing paid ads on Facebook, the audience viewership is getting pissed off because they don't want to do it. They want to look at Facebook like a newspaper, so they want to see what's their daily Pfeiffer, whatever that cartoon Pfeiffer, and then what's their Johnny Wonder, what's their Dear Abby, Dear Libby. They don't want to be interrupted with some stupid device that makes your shower better and it works after, they don't want to be bothered with that. So I'm with the side that believes that Facebook ads are less effective now because uh people more people block them than don't. Whereas X, they don't block them as much, and certainly Google, they don't. Because see, the thing is, it's easy to block. Like if you're on Facebook and you see a stupid ad, you can block it, and you'll never see it again. And you'll never, and they have it to such a way where you could never see what anything else that that company advertises. Well, that's bad because like, what if you block off? Let's put it in movie terms. Like, what if you blocked off like Warner Brothers and you'd never seen every single anything that Warner Brothers was promoting, and maybe you liked one movie out of 100 that Warner's wanted, and you wanted to know that one is coming out. You won't see it if you block the whole advertiser. Whereas going on Google, if you click off our trailer, you still have to stay and watch the thing you wanted to watch originally, which was the McDonald's tutorial, if you get what I'm saying. So you're stuck in that lineage, which is why I like the Google ads and advertising our trailers as opposed to like Facebook. And then Twitter also, because Twitter has an algorithm that's so fast that you post and then it keeps laying stuff over and over and over and then cross feeds and cross feeds. It's great. So the danger with Twitter is that the ad what do you call it? The ad, I don't know what the word is. The ad usage, or how long the ad is up, is less becomes less because more algorithms go over and filter what someone's reading. So in other words, you don't keep going back to that ad more than once, if you get what I'm saying. It doesn't have its placement. It's sort of like a temporary, and it just keeps going over and over. Whereas, like running a trailer, you're always going to be in some form getting on some place where somebody's not going to be able to block it, where they're forced to watch your 5 seconds, which is what I like about that. So so I've been focusing a lot on Google ads, and what that is this is surprising, by the way. More than half, I would probably say even 3/4 of the filmmakers out there do not use Google ads, and I don't know why. Other than they're ignorant, they don't care. It's two choices, but there can't be a there can't be a positive reason why you don't use Google Ads. Now, what Google Ads, very briefly, is you sign up, and now these days you can be more transparent because shady people are buying ads, so they want to know your name, send your driver's license in, and you upload your trailer if it's already on an existing channel of yours. You use that link, and I think you should definitely only use your trailer on YouTube link. Don't And then within the description page on on your YouTube page for the trailer, don't put any backlinks, especially like websites. Like you could probably backlink and put another YouTube link, but I wouldn't put like a third party link backlink, because what happens is while they will accept it, they don't let a lot of things with third party backlinks go through. Like if it's some newspaper they've never heard of, or even if it's a newspaper they have heard of, they don't encourage these backlinks. And I don't know why people insist on putting 20 links, like all their social media, all this, because I think it's a bad idea necessarily to have that many links, especially if they're backlinks. You should basically, it's better if you're saying, "Oh, he's made these movies," and list the movies. Don't put every single website that this movie's on. In fact, I wouldn't put anything in a YouTube video description that's not a Google link or a Amazon link. For the longest time, they were not flagging, but they weren't making it easy to put on Tubi links. So uh, Roku, I think Roku is more and more becoming a thing. So I think you could start putting links there. So so I think that we're more going to focus on like Google right now and how that operates and what you need to do. Again, this is not advice. This is what I do and what I recommend, but it's not pure advice because as soon as you'll find out everybody has 10 opinions about the movie business. You could show the same movie to 10 different people, and one of them will say it's a comedy, one will say it's a horror, one will say it's a drama. One's gonna say, why didn't you let her out the door of that scene? That would have saved the movie. It's crap. Like some of these people are just like, go back to just go back and selling vacuum cleaners, please. Get out of my life. Go sell refrigerator filters, get out of my life. I mean, but I kid you not, literally the movie people in the movie business were selling, they came from like selling some of these people came from selling refrigerators and cars, electronics, and they somehow thought that the movie business was for them. And they but you should read deep in that, meaning that nobody would accept them because they were morons. So then only the movie business would accept them. So anyway, so what you do on Google Ads, you set everything up. The interface is much more user friendly now. What I recommend is you do your ad spend, which is how much you want to spend on your film, and you do it by CPM, which is basically the cost it costs per 1,000 interactions. And so I typically start off because I don't know where a movie's gonna go, but I start off with like $50 for CPM, sorry, yeah, uh, daily budget of like 50, right? Sometimes I start with daily budget like 100, but like let's say 50 on the average. And then the CPM, right, which is the cost per thousand, I tend to go high so it gets me in the door. And then once I'm in the door on the algorithms, then I start lowering what I pay. This is basically like ad negotiation. So I may say for the first beginning, like the first day, I want $100 for the maximum budget, and I'm gonna pay $20 for the CPM. So it's literally like $20 for 1,000 interactions, right? Which is pretty costly. I don't know if you know how the ad bartering system works on Google, but they it's a bidding situation. So let's say you want to bid on let's say you want to bid on Leo DiCaprio's movie or whatever, and you want to spend $10 per CPM, and then I'll beat you, I'll say 12 or 13. And there's only a limit on how many ads that they could run, right? So you go 13, I go 14, I go 16, and I win. And so I went out, but I'm paying a premium because that's way too much to pay for CPM. But it gets me in the door, and then once I see the numbers, well, first of all, what's going to happen is that if you target like a very large broad base, then that $50 or $100 gets eaten up in like 2 hours. You'll see it, like you see that, and so and it's a big waste, of course, but it gets you in the door. So then what it is, I'll start with 20, and maybe I'll drop the following week to like 10 to 5 to 3, and you never know. They do it at certain hours of the day too. Like, they know when viewing habits are lower, like in the early hours of the morning, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., uh, the ad rates get cheaper, so you got to figure it out. Because like if you're doing a cult movie, well, people are, I'm not just saying just about cult movies, but typically, like, people who watch cult movies, they stay up late at night, right? So you could start running ads at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever, stuff like that. You could time, there's ways of doing this. So basically what I'm getting at is you set your budget, then you set your CPM, get in the door, see how the first week's going, then start dropping it. But what's crucial is how you target your ads. Uh, like a lot of people are lazy or just don't know how Tubi works. So yeah, people will just say because they don't know how to maneuver the system, or they're just lazy or ignorant or idiots, whatever. But they'll just say like, okay, I want to spend $100 a day, and I want to target uh Now, what's great, Google breaks it down for you to give you different demographics. Like, do you want to advertise in the movie lovers category? And people just simply do that and then go away, and then their ad dollars are eaten up and they're worthless. They're not effective because all you've done was, well, I mean, who doesn't watch a movie in the United States? Of course everybody does. So just advertising in the movie lovers category is worthless because everybody, people who eat spaghetti, people who eat spaghetti, who like Italian food, they watch movies. So you're better off targeting more specific areas to maximize the dollars that you're spending, you know. Um, so typically beyond the movie lovers, then it goes to like movie people who like action movies, movie people who like horror, and then you're breaking it down. But it still gets to like a pool of about like maybe 20 or 30 million people, and that's a lot if you're just throwing stuff into the air and hope you catch somebody. But you're better off spending $100 on movie lovers slash horror than just like movie lovers. But but the way I feel is like there's a lot of different ways that you could play around it, and the beauty of it is being able to change your campaigns like every week to see what's working or what's not. And this is what's helpful, like when you have a distributor working closely with you who could tell you each week, okay, these are your real-time metrics on YouTube. Like you dropped or you went up or you dropped or you this, you plateaued, and then you can maneuver and then adjust your campaign. And I don't see a lot of people doing that. It just seems like a lot of people are just waiting for like 6 months and then, like, oh, okay. Oh, I only got $10. Oh, great. What do I do? I'm going to kill myself. You know what I mean? Like when you could have been doing stuff all along proactively to get your movie out there. Forget about spending $100 a week on Starbucks or 200. I mean, probably Starbucks is expensive, by the way. That costs more than a movie. Throw that into ads, whatever you've got. You want to create as much digital exposure as you can. So now beyond those categories, there are things like age ranges, 18, just like 18 to 23, 30 to 40, 40 to 60. There's unknown age. Are they married? They have a family? Do they have kids? What's their income? A lot of that's pretty much irrelevant because I feel like anybody who watches movies, they're all from all classes. Watching movies is not a privilege for this race. Everyone's entitled to watch a movie, especially when that movie's free. So I don't know, you need to target down that different. I suppose if you're selling insurance, yes, you're going to want to target families and people who make this much money. But for movies, no, no, no. Now, here's the thing, like let's say you had a movie about wine, like Sideways, or a movie about horses. Well, then instead of doing like the movie category, why not, target it to just wine consumers or people in Napa Valley? You could target Napa Valley because you can do certain terms. I believe Google's opened up their protocols now. They used to it was kind of ridiculous. I think reverse DEI's bring it is returning stuff to norm, but you couldn't target communities because they were like, okay, well, we don't want you to brainwash communities. Well, listen, there were more people doing good on advertising to these communities than people trying to trying to sabotage these communities. So, for example, you couldn't market a movie to African Americans because it used to be a category in Google, and we had a fair amount of success because we made some movies with African American actors and so forth, and we'd have a good amount of success. And also, African Americans we know make a large portion of the audience for Tubi. So we used to be able to target like movies, horror, and then African American, and they wouldn't let you do African American. And then they wouldn't let you do LGBTQIA, because they thought people to target them means you would sabotage, which I don't get it. Because did I like, during that period, like 3 or 4 years ago, did you see hate stuff going on? That much hate stuff towards these communities?
No.
Exactly, exactly. So I think some of that's moving back, and you're able to do more specific marketing. Yeah, like for example, if your movie is music centric and you know some big music festivals coming up, then you can target
Right.
that festival leading up to the release of your film. Now the problem is these days is that Amazon and Tubi doesn't give you a release date for a film, so it's hard to know what you're doing to work up to it. It's not like a theatrical release where it's like, okay, now Friday, let's do a countdown. Every week we're going to run something. We're going to run something starting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday till it opens at the theater. You can't do that for streaming, unfortunately. So The problem
Right.
what you're left with, the problem what you're left with is you're hoping that your aggregator tells you, oh, you got into Amazon, or oh, you got into Tubi, start preparing. But see, that's no guarantee it's going to go on, because even when Amazon and Tubi say yes these days, and you send your movie to them for delivery after they've said yes, then they say no after they get the files, which is ridiculous. So
Right.
you typically can't even spend that much money. So yeah, so yeah, you never know what's coming out. So I wouldn't recommend spending. Well, I mean, I don't think you should spend money before the movie comes out, because you don't even know if it's going to be on Amazon or Tubi, even though they said yes. So the problem is you're faced with the situation where, okay, all of a sudden it appears on Amazon to be, what do you do? So at least you have a game plan going in, then you know, like, because for example, setting up your Google Ads account, which I doubt 3/4 of the filmmakers actually have one, takes some time. You have to fill out your application, prove you're not a spy, show your ID, upload your bank account information, your name or your social security or your business information. It takes about
Okay.
a week. Takes about a week to do that, and then you can start running ads. So you could do that. You could do that in the meantime. Facebook is pretty easy. You just boost, and that's pretty easy. There's no setup on that. But Google takes the most setup, but it's the most. I think I feel it has the most impact. So so what to do once it's coming out, and you don't, and and then you only have the ideas of what you think you should do. So also other stuff you should do is that ahead of time is, we know for a fact now that a little bit more than half of all content we see, in terms of writing and articles, are what they call paid for content. Advertisers are paying for articles and so forth. And everyone's open about this. Variety, Hollywood Reporter, LA Times, New York Times, Wall Street. They're all open about it. People just be like, oh no, 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 we're not. We're not one of those paid for content places. We're not like, oh yeah, great. Now you are. What are you gonna do about that? So we know that. So I always say there's nothing wrong with that. Pay for an article, an interview with you on your film, or you get it placed, so you're laying the groundwork for your footprint, so that when it does hit on Amazon and Tubi or these other places, it will see some of your footprint that has been started all along, and it'll continue that algorithm, and give you that much of a presence once your film comes out, because you basically have the first 2 weeks of once it hits on a platform for it to decide, like, okay, this is the algorithm we're going to stick it in. And then what's pretty interesting is, like, if it hits in the first 2 weeks, it pretty much stays there for like a year or 2 years. If it opens poorly, it stays poorly. Sometimes you'll see a blip, but it's crucial those first 2 weeks, because it's like writing. Oh, I don't know. It's like writing a book. It's like how you're rating it. Like, okay, well, we got very little traffic from the Midwest on this, so forget it. It gets a minus for that. It gets a plus because there's social redeeming values to it, so it gets a plus here. But it rates your film and it puts it high, medium, or low. So, and a lot of that is you're doing. Like, obviously, if I were to publish an article or interview on my film beforehand, I would make sure I put certain things in there that work well as hashtags and search words. And we know for a fact that people like to approach things when it's not just a film, but it's a film about social values or society, or as it relates to us as a person. They want stuff that's going to enable us to be better people. So if you can convey that in an article through certain keywords, the better off you'll be. And just Google, just say what are some good keywords for this thematic, this subject, So, and you also can put those into Google. Um, Google Ads, and you could run off those. The problem there is that you got to be very careful, because that'll eat up your money quickly. Like, if you just put in food as a search word, that's pretty stupid, because you're gonna be spending $1,000 on anybody who wants food. You've got to target stuff down to the way you want to approach it. Now, a lot of that has to go into what movie you made to begin with. If you made a movie thinking about this to begin with partial marketing in mind, half your battle's done. But if you made going in not without a clue, and you made it for yourself, well, good luck. But I mean, I still think that anything could be sold, you know, and it's how you sell it. You know, I could sell a movie that's a black picture, and it's just sound. Well, actually, they did Derek Jarman. Derek Jarman did Blue. It was just a blue screen for 90 minutes with narration. So,
I love
um,
it.
yeah, you know what I mean. You can have 10 sets of cookies. The best cookie could be the best cookie could be the one that's hidden in the corner, and it's got a packaging that doesn't even say cookie, and that could be your film. So to make your cookie sell better, at least write the word cookie over it. Don't put it in the corner. Put it next to the stuff being advertised, and then you got a fleeting chance of finding an audience. So those are the words, and it takes time to. And I'm not saying I'm really not the authority at all on that, but you'll love the interface on Google Ads and how you can experiment. And listen, you can always decrease or increase your budget if you feel like it's going over or you're spending too much and you're not getting the results that you want. You know, and there's no quantifiable way to know your results, really. Like if the movie's doing well, is it because of that ad you ran here, or is it not? Is it because of the article? Nobody really knows, but I feel it all goes hand in hand. And listen, come on, if you don't have 2 grand to market your film after you spent like 15 or 20,000, just go away, go away.
Mm.
So I recommend the paid ads, the paid I mean, sorry, the paid articles, the paid interviews, nothing wrong with a paid review. We pay reviewers also, and they give us bad reviews. That's fine, that's fair. We're just doing the job of the air. Keep these guys in business. I know film critics are out of work. It's the dying job now. There's very few film critics left because it's all syndicated or AI now. So all we're doing is we're just being the role of the publisher and paying these critics to do their job now. So we're paying them to review the films. There's nothing wrong with that because if we're not paying them, they'd be out of a job, not even reviewing a film. At least take our money, and then you don't owe us anything. I'm happy to take the bad and the good. That's fine. It means nothing, at least you're getting me a presence. Keep your job as a critic because we need you. Right. I mean, critics have been around for 150 years, right? More than that, actually. I mean, days of, you talk about Shakespeare, the critics all the time, but I mean, specifically the film critic's been around since 1910, right? 19, yeah, something like
Right.
that. So, um, we talked about, let's see. Yeah, and there's some new places. I think I talked about this on one of the shows that there's integration. I don't want to say vertical integration, but horizontal integration on the on the data metadata system. So, Amazon owns IMDb, which is a very smart move because now their source of data is interfaced. It's in the same family. And I heard someone big's going to buy Letterbox/TMDB, which is becoming a big force. So you want to establish your force on TMDB/Letterbox because eventually, at some point, it's going to be owned like by Tubi or Amazon, and your whole data is going to be spread out. And if you've got good data on Letterboxd, then it's going to go straight into that system that's communicating like, okay, this is a movie that we want, or this is something that it's their own archaic form of curating films. And I think it works for what they do. But we the filmmaker have to work extra hard to make sure like they don't give a crap about our stuff. So we have to give a crap and make sure that that we get out there. I
Yeah.
hope so. Yeah.
Give a crap.
So we talked the Google ads. Uh,
What?
yeah. One thing was that Uh, I'm talking when I talk about advertising, I talk about specifically in the United States because our movies are made for the American audience. I mean, this stuff translates well into the European market, but it's a different system on how they consume their data and their content. And I'm not convinced just throwing an ad always sells them. But what's different now is that because as things become global and our movies are getting global and we're seeing fans from our films from around the world now that we've never seen before, you now if your trailer's not in French or German or Japanese and so forth. But you might want to, or India. India is a big audience for YouTube. But it's something that you might want to experiment with, at least taking it like uh, uh, increasing your ad range to Canada, perhaps, or to Australia, New Zealand, because Tubi does. Our films are on Tubi in New Zealand and Australia, and They haven't quite launched in the UK, but when they do, our films will be on the UK. So I typically try to target those markets, those additional countries when they go. But it's a different situation. Um, and like I don't know how their algorithms read it because when you advertise anything going to the European market, it all goes to the the European Union standards, and those standards are set up to go against America, even though they say that there are friends and there are alliances. Well, why does French have a quota system? That quota system on American films they could bring in was purposely to stop American movies and products coming into the country in France, and yet they say they're our ally. So I don't know what that means when you're advertising an American movie through Google into these countries. I haven't explored that yet, but it's worth a try. um, the problem is if you tag like India, India is a country of or 900 million people. So your money's just going to go boom like that. And so you'd never ever want to just say India on a tag. You'd want to do like India slash horror. But even then, I think that's going to eat up your money quick. India seems to find so much so quickly because they're on all these quick algorithms on their phone. They're getting data so quick. That's why you see our movies or anyone's movies end up in India first and Malaysia first because they get access to this data pool so quickly, quicker than Americans do, that they don't necessarily need advertising at times if it's for the most part. Yeah, so I'd be careful. Like I know some people like, oh, I get a lot of likes and fans from Indies. Well, big deal. That doesn't really help you make money because India watches stuff for free and it's mostly bootleg, it's mostly pirated links. So that doesn't really help you that you have 10,000 people in India who like your films. You really want to go where the people are that have the money to spend and support these films and your career. You want the people who, you want the audience in the day that bought $200 worth of DVDs at Best Buy every weekend. That's what you want. It's not India, believe me. You get the numbers from India though. So yeah. So obviously, since you're advertising on Google, it's crucial that your thumbnail has the best look. I typically warn against doing extraneous text more than just do the title. If you put too many words, then the algorithms get screwed up. There's certain words the algorithms get screwed up and it just spits it out because it says, I don't know this word, so we're just not going to really push this ad that much. So that's another thing. Like the simpler titles you have for a movie, the better. The more complicated they have, then it doesn't read it properly and it doesn't propel you forward. But obviously you want a thumbnail that's intriguing. No, I like these things where people are like, well, it's faithful to the film because I have 8 people on the thumbnail. Okay, great. Well, no one can see your thumbnail on their phone in India because they don't have iPhones in India or China, and that means no one will see your film. So that makes two of everybody.
Mhm.
I go with the bold title on your thumbnail, of course. Make sure on your description on the YouTube page, which is very crucial because that's technically you're advertising that description too. Don't put things that you're going to get flagged. Just put the description on. Uh, write a kick-ass description of the movie, including tag words, hashtags, and so forth. Do not do backlinks if you can avoid it. Put tags or search words instead. Not too many, because if it does too many, it thinks you're going to spam. So like it'd be stupid to put a movie and just because you want the hot person of the day, you put Justin Timberlake. Do not do that. That's stupid. They'll catch that instantly. Unless your movie really has to do with them, don't do that. Stupid. They won't ban you, but it's stupid. They'll take your money. So, um, let's see. Yeah, and then the other thing is that you don't want to promote. I mean, this has been said on like countless programs. Filmmakers are the worst people you want to promote to. First of all, they have no money. They are only into themselves. They only want to make their own movie. They don't care about other people's movies. Let's be serious here. So just get them to go to your movie. They won't. You got to grab them. You got to yank them out. Same with actors too, unless they know there's going to be a red carpet. The moment there's a red carpet, oh, then they show up. I literally have actors who will come for the red carpet, leave when the movie starts. So, but filmmakers are the worst to promote to. So I certainly wouldn't tag any of the filmmaker groups on Google. It's a waste of time. I would go for the unique approaches. Like, if let's say you had a movie about Slinky. It's Slinky. You tag Slinky, or you tag novelty toys. You got to think along those terms. Forget about the movie. Just try to hit, because I guarantee you, everybody who buys Slinkies watches movies, right? So now if you have $100,000 to spend, you can try all these options. But if you only have limited things to spend in the first 2 weeks of the release of your film, go for where it's gonna work. The most. Now, the
Yeah.
danger that you're in is that the algorithms get set every 2 weeks on what's acceptable and what's not. So I'm talking about movies that don't necessarily push the envelope. Um, you know what I mean? Like they're not socially criticizing certain events or certain countries, because then you get into a whole different sensitive kind of issue though. So, but what I would do with filmmakers, I'd hang around at groups. Maybe you guys can work together and make another film. I don't this first generation, I've lived through maybe 3 generations of filmmakers. This first generation, I don't see filmmakers collaborating with each other. I used to see, so I would be like, so and so's making a movie with him, they're doing this and this. Now it's always like, this guy's doing this and this and this, but he's got your same actors, and no one's willing to work with each other. And I don't understand it. I think it's because, first of all, they know they don't have any talent. They know they know they're worth nothing, and they're lying. And they don't trust people because they've probably been burned, or they know they're not trustable, and that's why they're in LA making movies. But I don't see people collaborating, and it's the first time. It's very startling, and that's going to lead into my DIY episode of this show, where I talk about how we're going back to the way it was from the '80s, where it's now DIY, where it's one person making films and actually distributing them, or one person making them and having a distributor. Because we're in that time where no one's collaborating. It's beyond me, but I'm glad it's something that I don't have to look forward to. Like, I don't survive needing to have to make movies with idiots. You know what I mean? Like, I can do what I want. I make them so low now that I can do anything I want and put it out, which is great. But I would say, like, a filmmaking, like, there are good filmmaking circles, particularly on the East Coast, because they have a little bit more honor than people in LA do. And they tend to work with each other, and they tend to come from different sectors of jobs, like, because all the factories, steel mills, and mining places closed down, so their families went out of jobs, but they come from these coal mining families for, like, decades, right? And now they're making movies. But what I'm saying is that they have a work ethic. Whereas the people that come to LA are people that got rejected, and you always wonder, like, why do people from these foreign countries come here? If their country's so good, right? Well, because probably they're escaping something very shady, and they have nothing to offer, and they probably pulled something. Because you hear these stories, people escaping to the Middle East, or people coming here, and people come to LA, and then you ask somebody their background in LA, nobody tells you what their background is. Like, where are you from? And they don't tell you anything. They're always like, like, I'll tell you everything, because I like to anyway, because I'm amused. But everyone's like cagey and shady. It's just and it's the first time I've ever seen that in the filmmaking generation. So kudos to the people who are the honorable ones, which there's still a handful of these people, but they're not from this new generation. They're like from the generation right before, when they still were part of, like, DVD, and when things were really good, and they weren't having
Sure.
to rob banks. So, um so that's sort of it in a nutshell for the Google campaign. I don't know what else. I mean, basically the difference is that if you get your you get your first report the first week, and second week, and it's doing well, then you up it, or you lower it. Sometimes you just play the game. You try zero, see can it maintain its level with $0, even $1. Because sometimes I'll even do, like, I'll go from like $200 to $1, and it'll still be the same, because once it hits the algorithms at these platforms like Tubi and Amazon, it basically stays there. But it makes sense. If you're Amazon, what are you gonna do? You're gonna pick the guy that's advertising steak on television, right? Then, instead of the guy that's in his basement at his mom's house downstairs making steak. Hey, I have steaks for sale, right? it's all about validation and product placement, you know? And it makes sense. And you know, Amazon is doing the job for us. They're paying for the bandwidth for these stupid movies that everyone's uploading. They you know, I mean, they probably have what, a 500,000 different pieces of content that's in their catalog of different forms, and that costs money just to store and process and overhead. So they're doing the work for us, you know. I mean, like, you know, if we're in the business of supermarket, like let's say we were making bread, you know, we'd never get into Kroger because Kroger has only 8 types of bread and 4 of them Kroger makes, right? Or they put their name on it. So we're lucky in the film business in the sense that we're guaranteed certain outlets. Now we're not guaranteed Amazon, but we have a good shot. You know, we're not guaranteed Tubi, but we have a good shot. We're not, you know, you know, no one's guaranteed, but we've got good shots at all these places at getting out there. It's not like we're making bread and now we have to sell it on the street because Kroger wouldn't take it and Walmart wouldn't take it. So yeah, so that, you know, obviously the moment you finish your movie, everyone's going to vie for your final dollars. It's, whether it's a form of a film festival fee for $40 for you know, um, flying to a festival for an award that doesn't mean anything. You know, I always tell people, like, I know film festivals are great. You want to see your movie on a big screen, but like having 10 people on audience is not going to be organic as spending that $600 on Google ads, which is going to get you organically strong stuff, you know. Even if 10 people, those 10 people in the theater had COVID, believe me, it would not be an epidemic if that spread from 10 people. It would take for 10 people to get COVID and pandemic on the numbers you would get from spending on Google. Those 10 people would have to be, first of all, having sex with each other, with all 10 of each of each other. And then those 10 people would have to have sex with 10 other people, and those would have to have sex with 20 people, and then you'd have an epidemic quickly in that period. But there's no way a festival is going to get you the results that Google's going to get you in like a week or a day, even, or 2 days. So I recommend studying it. It's a great interface for those that haven't done it. Um, it's a knowledge that is extremely useful right now, more than anything, is knowing how to do SEO, and marketing and so forth, and learn enough so you actually can get a job and then stop making movies. Until then, keep it warm.